Hey guys, it's Shadow. So today I'm actually going to be looking through a crazy arena build with you. It's a Khmer build, so you can just assume there's some kind of crazy shenanigans going to go on here. I won't spoil it just yet, but it is an FC that I've never seen before. And I'm going to go through how this guy does it, and if I think it's a workable build at high levels as well. But yeah, let's just fast forward a little bit here. So what this guy does initially is sends all of his villagers to food. Every single one of them, he doesn't place anything else until he takes up to the feudal age. Obviously on arena pushes all his deer. A little note here that I didn't like that he did here is he actually lures his boar with his scout, which I found unnecessary. That's not just including the fact that the boar didn't actually end up following him the whole way. Just having a weak scout means that you can't scout with your scout very easily without losing it. He also seeds 2 farms, so he gets just enough wood for those 2 farms. A very efficiency-based build. And look, already clicked to feudal age, and that's an 18 pop feudal time. So he sends, I think it was 6 to gold, is it 5? I think it looks like 5 to gold. He long distance mines 100 gold. So this is the part of the build I want to slow down and say. So I think here it would be better if instead of him going up at 18 pop, he went up 1 villager later and then had the additional food collection. I think he could have got away with that extra villager and had slightly later uptime, but he would have had slightly less idle time as well. And see, he's actually going to be in castle age before I've even got to feudal age, which is absolutely insane to me. Let's go fast forward a little bit and see what uptime he actually gets. I think it's around 11:15. Yeah, so he gets up at 11:25, those are things. He gets just enough wood from his straggler trees to drop a second town center. And then beyond that, it's very tight. So what I don't like about this build is that you can only build that 1 additional town center. And you've had to take all of your straggler trees, so a lot of your resource collection has been inefficient. But what we're about to see here is that he will actually end up ahead in villages despite being seemingly so far behind. I even had to type a damn to him after that because I was seriously not expecting that. I was actually expecting him to do some kind of towers or something like that because of his uptime. Also, his eco upgrades have to be quite delayed here as well because he doesn't drop a lumber camp and he drops a mill for the berries. So there's the kind of limitations on this build. But we're just gonna fast forward and see how far ahead in villages he ends up. Now, something else that I will mention now is that it's very prone to early aggression on a build like this. For example, a monk siege play, you also do sacrifice all the relics. Which means for long term it can be suboptimal at times. So the moment this is a point that he's 2 villages ahead of me already. And he's going to have the eco upgrades, he's going to have both his feudal eco upgrades. However, he can't afford his castle age eco upgrades here. And at this point is when he gets enough wood for a few more farms and then starts getting the wood for a 3rd town center. Now unfortunately for him, his scout was extremely weak from luring those 2 boars. With his scout. Again, I think that's a little bit of an unnecessary part towards the build. I know it causes you to have less idle time. But now that I've got this ford happening with the castle, with the scouts and the spears, it's very hard for him to do anything here. As you can see, his eco hasn't had any gold income. It's got very little wood income and it's got very little food. So any sort of forward against this build seems to kill it very easily. So I'm going to say that the tightness of the build kind of lends itself to that, where it can be quite easily punished. Whereas a slightly kind of safer version of this build, you won't be in this situation. And I'm Koreans here, so Koreans obviously get war wagons, very strong unit. We're just going to fast forward a little bit and see his responses. So I think going pretty heavy on stone is actually a pretty decent response. It's just a little bit too late here. He literally can't get a castle before I can start pressuring him. With siege and wagons. If it was just wagons, maybe he wasn't too late on the stone. But yeah, at this point, I'm going to be able to get in very comfortably with some wagons. Even my couple of scouts and these spears and the manga now can get some value here as well. These wagons don't even have bodkin yet. They just have fletching. and they're just here to be annoying. So I suspected something was up with this build, but as soon as I saw that he hit Castle Age, I kind of realized that the only things he could probably do were some kind of insane Siege Monk play or a boom. As I didn't see a forward, this seemed like the most likely approach. But he now gets Loom. He's already lost a couple of his villages, but he is at this point 13 villages ahead. It's a very tight build, but it does get you decently ahead in villages. However, now that the pressure is in his base, it's not really much he can do. Yes, he can defend with Siege, but against War Wagons and Siege, it's very hard to defend this. And with just Siege, you kind of need monks as well, and he does eventually make a monastery. It does do a nice job of trying to fight back the Ram over here. It does slow my pressure a little bit. If I was watching my Ram a little better, I would have kept it alive, but I've already done quite a bit of damage to his eco. I've already idled about 10-15 villages. I've already killed quite a few as well. And seeing as I can see him going out of this gate, I know that he's expanded over here, so I instantly send a War Wagon over there. I think had I not sent that War Wagon over there straight away, he might have actually been able to hold this much more easily. And I'm at home sitting on my one town center pretty comfortably. At this point, this is where my macro is slipping a little bit low. I do need a few more farms being dropped at home at that moment. They're decent siege defense initially. He's getting the monks to the monastery, but again, his eco is just so tight that he can't really afford a whole lot. He did sell a lot of wood as he was over collecting wood quite a lot. I think that's the right response. When you're floating that much wood, you do need to kind of sell it and make usage of it. This part I'm not certain about. So I thought maybe I'll just keep the wagons underneath the TC. I'm not sure if that's the best play here. But just try and kill some villages and also cause a lot of idle. But this is actually the point at which that he gets the maximum number of villages he's ever going to get in this game at 60. I drop a castle on this town center. I'm also still pressuring this area over here with the wagons. Again, I'm not certain if this was worth it. I lost all of my army mass. But my opponent still got a lot of idle villages. So I had 29 villages idle for a very large amount of time, and I killed a few more. I think it ended up being worth it, honestly. It was good micro by him to get that one wagon that was causing him problems. So at this point, I realized that the only way to kill him is to go Imperial myself. I think my opponent realized as well that he has to get to Imperial Age here to clean up this forward. It's unfortunate for him that his eco was just so messed up from the forward that he couldn't really do a whole lot. And here I am still making some war wagons, getting ready to go into Imperial Age and trap him down. And I think as soon as I hit Imperial Age, he realizes that there's just no way back from that. So one of the things I must say about this build is it's quite impressive that you can get up at this time and still drop a second town center, let alone going towards a third. And if your opponent's going for a standard Scout Spear opening with the map control for the relics, I think that that can be a surprising twist, because their opponent can probably get like a 25-minute Imperial Age time for the back of this and have a decent mass of units. Of course, you will be sacrificing the relics, but I'm guessing the point of a build like this is to do a really strong early Imperial Age push and to get rid of that relic control. Do I like this build? I like it in terms of a theory crafting perspective. I'm not sure if it works ideally as a build itself. And even as a concept, I think it could be tweaked a little bit. Again, I think at least 1 or 2 villages later, and you have a much more comfortable time transitioning to those town centers. As I said before, I thought this was going to be some kind of tower rush based on the crazy uptime. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of a build like this, and if you'd like to see me doing an actual build order for a Khmer fast cast like this with the 3 TC boom afterwards. Thanks for watching.